All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, this video, we're going to be talking about the influences that Greece left to the world, what they gave us, and things like that. Then, we're going to be talking about the Peloponnesian War and the decline of Greece, and basically, how did they fall? How come their empire didn't, no longer last? So, we're going to look at that today. So, the objectives today, we're going to analyze the Peloponnesian War. We're going to connect the influence of Greek art and philosophy to modern day art and modern thinking. How do they connect and stuff like that? And we're going to create an argument on a philosophical question. Now, at the end of this lesson, you're going to get a question, all right, as you guys normally do. But this is going to be a little different in the sense that you're going to have three philosophical questions that people asked themselves back then, and they still try to find an answer today. And I want you guys to really think about it. And not just like, okay, no, I want you to really sit and think. Really think about this question. And what do you truly feel in your heart and soul? And once you have that answer, think to yourself again, is that what I truly believe, what I truly feel? Okay. And again, I'll get to that again when we get, towards the end. Okay. So here's your warm up picture. Now, my question to you, or the question I have for you is this. What do you think this artist is trying to say about the Spartans and how they view their enemies? Because remember, these are the Spartans. Remember, they had the crimson robes, the long hair, and some of that. So that's the guys, all the guys standing up, they are the uh, the Spartans. So looking at what they're doing and how they have the shields all, the ones that are painted that aren't theirs, you know, how they have it up and stuff like that. What do you think this artist trying to say about how they viewed their enemy? Did they treat them with respect? Did they look down on them? Did they think they were, you know, worthy opponents? I mean, what do you think? Based off what you see, and again, look at the foreground, the background, side to side, and things like that. What do you think? Okay, so pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. Now, Greece experienced a great intellectual and cultural growth. Okay, and it basically changed the world in the sense that their art influenced our art to this day. And it basically made it a standard. Like, this is what classic art should look like, not just painting, statues, pottery, things like that. This is how it should be. And they basically used their art to express their ideals, which was like a four of them. There was reasoning, moderation, balance, and harmony. Okay. And yeah, the Greeks really did believe in balance and moderation, and stuff like that. And that the biggest thing, especially with the artwork, I wish I was there in class, is like harmony. There's a flow to things, especially their statues. So that's why I picked this one with the guy with the disc. Because if you look at the disc, your eyes are going to go down the arm, and then it's going to either go to the head or go down the arm or down the body, and it just your eye just flows, and that's what classic art you want that flow, the person's eye to just flow, and then you can put certain things you want the person to really see or focus on along that path. No one's looking to the side in the negative space. People are looking at the item, the statue itself, and their eye just flowing from the top to the bottom you know Now, here's the thing, too. Their art didn't just limit itself to statues and pottery and paintings and things like that. It also was their architecture. And a lot of the classic architecture was built in Athens. And one of the greatest examples of their architectural work, which still stands to this day, is the Pantheon right there. That building still stands to this day. And most people, when they see those pillars, they think Greek, you know. And typically, like when I'm in class, I'll ask the class, What other buildings do you see with pillars? And some people say really nice houses, expensive houses. Yeah. Okay. What else? And some people say like courthouses. It's like, yeah, very good. So, yeah, that even though pillars were from back then and we've moved on from pillars, we still use them, and it's the artwork. It's not just to hold the building up, it's art. Okay. All right. So, one of the most influential things that ancient Greece gave us was philosophy. And what is philosophy? It's basically you ask basic questions and you try to find what's the most correct answer for this. Okay, now is there a correct answer? Chances are no. No, chances are most of the best philosophical questions have no right answer. It has multiple answers. And some of these basic questions that these Greek philosophers asked are still being debated to this day. Okay. Now, are all questions basic? No, there's some more advanced, some even more require more intelligence to try to comprehend and break it down and come up with a possible answer, you know. But some of the best ones are pretty basic. So, without a doubt, the first guy who really brought out philosophy, the first superstar, was Socrates, which is that guy in that statue right there. He too, as you can see, was a sculptor. He made statues, but he was a great philosopher. But here's a problem with him: he didn't write anything down, he just spoke. And he had a lot of students with him, you know. And it's because of those students, especially one of them named Plato, that we have his questions recorded. They're on paper, you know, and we're able to see what he kind of questions he thought of back then and possible answers that he gave. Now, he developed a teaching method that is still used to this day. I use it. It's called the Socratic method. Okay, it's basically when a teacher uses a question and answer format to lead students to see things for themselves. You discover for yourself, but using your own reasoning, your own experiences, your own knowledge to answer the possible, you know, to get a possible answer for this thing. You know, instead of saying 2 plus 2 equals 4, there it is. So what's 2 plus 2? 4. No, 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 no. It's more like from your experience, what is this? What do you think is the most important in this? What do you think is the top 10 of this? Whatever it may be. You know, it's using your reasoning, your logic, and or your experience to come up with the possible answer. Now, again, is everyone's answer going to be the same? No, no, and that's fine. Because why? People have different ways of thinking and people have different experiences on everything. So again, that's why philosophy really doesn't have a straight, this is the answer. This is the only answer. No, there's several possible answers, you know. So, speaking of Plato, he is considered one of the greatest philosophers of all time, mainly because this dude wrote down everything, not just Socrates stuff, not just his teacher stuff, but he also wrote his own things. And he questioned a lot about reality, what's going on in life, and things like that. He wrote a book about government called The Republic. And he believed that a person could not achieve a good life unless they lived in a state that was just and rational. So if you lived in a place that's corrupt and where you have to basically struggle to survive and stuff like that, he's like, you're not going to live a good life because that government is constantly in turmoil, fighting, and you know, uh, the citizens are constantly trying to wonder if they're going to survive the day to live to the next day and wonder if they're going to survive that. You know, so He's like, government does play a vital role and it needs to be a good one. He also believed, which was pretty controversial back then, he believed that men and women should have the same education. Equal rights for women too? Oh, no, no. Who would think something like that? Again, you know, besides the days of the Macedonians and some of that, the uh, Hammurabi's Code, talking about women having rights, that was, and equal women having equal access to all jobs. Oh no 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 man beating chest. Oh no, because again, the thought of a woman doing the same job as a man, it just baffled them. A woman doctor, a woman philosopher, a woman sculptor. No 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 no, women stay home. Man way. You know. So again, it's the times, but also this guy, who was a real great philosopher, was like, you know what? This could actually work if women have the same education, and women should have equal uh, access to jobs. Society would be better. Now, just like Socrates, Plato had his own students as well, and one of them was end up being a very famous philosopher called Aristotle, which is that guy in that statue right there. Now, Aristotle was Plato's student for 20 years. Now, as an educator, as a teacher, don't get me wrong, I love you guys to death, but if you're following me and I'm teaching you stuff for more, than 4 years, I'm going to be scared, you know, because I'm going to be like, what more do you want from me? How much can I teach you? You know, but 20 years, he stayed by Plato's side and tried to learn everything that Plato knew and questioned and stuff like that. And then he went off on his own. And Aristotle, in his writings, is based off investigation and observation. So again, Socrates, Plato wondered and contemplated things where he did the same thing, but he wanted proof. And proof is in the pudding. Proof is by looking and uh, searching for yourself. And the thing is, just like Plato, he wrote about everything and in different subjects, ethics. And if you don't know what ethics, sorry about that, means, it's like, is this good or bad, right or wrong, type of thing. Logic, poetry, astronomy, geology, biology, physics. Dude really, was knowledgeable and wrote about everything he can. But one of the most important things that he did was he focused on the effectiveness of government. Do we need government? And if so, which is the best one to have? Which one's the best form of government for people in society? So he went to 158 places and observed, investigated, talked to people, saw their policies, see how things work. Okay, cool. What kind of government is this? And he basically says there are three types of government that work: monarchy, which is basically king or queen rules, you know, aristocracy, and constitutional government. That one means where the government is limited in power and people have rights. So those three, he said, are the best ones. Everything else basically sucks. People are unhappy. The government officials and some of that are corrupt. It doesn't really work. But he said those three are the top three type of form of government from his investigations and his observations. So now we come to the Peloponnesian War. So after the defeat of the Persians, the Athenians and the Spartans are about to square off. So if you saw the movie 300, you saw the 300 Spartans fought off the Persians, right? And the Persians won, right? But later on, the Persians would lose, you know, against the Spartans and the Athenians. The Athenians were their allies. Now, they were allies for a minute because the Persians had such a huge army, a ridiculous sized army. But they teamed up and they were actually able to fight off the Persians. But now that the Persians were defeated, now they were back to butting heads. Now Sparta, again, they like to keep to themselves, but they didn't like what was happening with the Athenians and the Athens. They were like, these guys are too influential. Their artwork, their philosophies, getting too many people to join them. So Sparta, and some of the little um, ally states that they negotiated with, they were like, yeah, Athens is getting too big. So after some arguing between the Athenians, Spartans, and these other tiny little city states and some of that, that eventually led to the Great Peloponnesian War in 431 BC. Okay, so now Athenians, Spartans, bam, going at it. The two biggest, um, you know, types of people, the kind of countries in one country, let's go with states. The two biggest states in one country going against each other. Now, in 405, the Athenians had a really bad defeat when their fleet was destroyed at Hellespont. Okay. Up until this point, it was like they win, these other guys win, they win, they win, they win, they win. It was going back and forth, back and forth. Okay, but at 405, when they lost their fleet, that really hurt them because now they have no more ships to really go into the sea and fight, or stop the Spartans and anyone else from coming in. Okay, so about a year later, the Athenians surrendered, and the Spartans and their allies basically tore down the entire like town of Athens. Their navy was completely dismantled. They were trying to rebuild, completely destroyed, and the Athenians' empire crumbled. Now, the Spartans are like, yeah, we're Chingon now. And they then, too, instead of going, hey, let's keep this up with the Allies, they kind of turned on each other. Now the Allies saw the Spartans as, now you're too big. And Spartans were like, no, we're in charge because we're the great power you know, of this country. So they started going at it. And the war weakened these Greek states. And the cooperation that they had amongst themselves was now ruined. Now they're all fighting each other. Now that Athens gone, now they're fighting each other. So with them fighting one another, they were ignoring an enemy that was very powerful and was gaining more strength, and that's the Macedonians. And like I've said in class time and time again, if you see your enemy and another one of your enemies fighting each other, are you going to jump in? Or are you going to let them kick the crap out of each other? And then once one is clearly the victor over the other, then are you going to jump in? So when would you jump in? When they're about to square off, or at the very end when one of them is all beaten and the victor? Which one would be smarter? And chances are you're going to say after the fighting, and that one who barely won or he got beat up, but they still won. Now then will be your opportunity. All right, so here's the thing. You guys are going to be responding to one of these three philosophical questions. Remember, just answer one. Yes, you do have to put the question. Okay, so if you're going with the first one, write down the question and then write your response. Okay, so here are the questions. Again, I want you to really think about these. Don't just put an answer down just cuz. Okay, or just like, oh, okay, fine. No, I want you to really think about it. And then once you have your answer, think about it again. Is that the best answer you can come up with? Like, honestly, if your life depended on it, is that the best answer you can come up with? All right. So the first question says, what makes us human? So think about it. What makes us human? What makes us separate from the animals? What distinguishes us? Okay. The second one is, can a person know or learn everything? And when I mean everything, I mean everything. Do you think that the human mind has the capability to truly learn and know everything of all knowledge? Okay, what do you think? All right. And the last one is this: is life ruled by fate, or is it all luck and chance? Meaning, do you think life happens and whatever happens, happens? Like if you know, get your foot ran over accidentally, and you lose all your nails on your foot. Do you think that was destined to happen? Like it was fate? Or do you think that was just bad luck? Wrong place, wrong time, you know, or when somebody, you're playing football, you run a route and you catch the game winning touchdown. Do you think you were meant to do that? Like it was fate that you were going to do that? Or do you think it was just by chance you were able to juke this person and they fell for it and then you were able to, get open? What do you think? Is life fate? Things already predestined to happen? Or do you think it's all about just luck and chance? Okay, so again, I want you guys to really think about this stuff and then give me your answers. Okay. So once you're finished, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Your next lesson is going to be one of my favorites because it's going to be about one of the biggest, baddest guys in history. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, you take care, you be safe. I'll see you guys later. Again, uh, I forgot to mention this to you guys. Um, if you see the video next time, you might see me looking a little different. It's because I'm going through chemo again, and so I might look different. I might not sound the same. So uh, just be prepared for that. Okay, I'm going to try my best to make these videos, make the TikToks and stuff like that for you guys. Okay, so you guys take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.